All right, so today I'm going to talk to you guys. I want to talk to you guys about sales techniques and tips and tricks. And if you guys have anything to add or anything like that, feel free to chime in, or you're welcome to use the chat bar or the chat, whatever, at the bottom of your screen to kind of add in a few things. But for the most part, I was looking through different kind of like a lot of the questions a lot of people ask, and a lot of the times people are just unsure of how to talk to people how to talk to people about Posh without coming across as salesy. If you guys follow the tag team at all, they have a lot of tips on this, and they use the non-salesy approach a lot. And the biggest thing that I always say is that, you need to come across as you want to share Posh, because that's really what it is we're sharing what we love, and in turn, and in hopes that they find something that works for them and hopefully they love it as well. So as long as you come from a very genuine, you want to share, then you're going to feel better about it, and you're not going to feel like you're, like soliciting your friends and family, and it's going to come across so much more genuine. But to get into the nitty-gritty of things, and for anybody who does do events, like, how do you even bring that up? How do you even bring up Posh without feeling like, oh, well, I sell this thing too, do you want to buy some stuff? Like, because that's not how it works, right? And so this is something that I kind of feel like is definitely, it depends on the individual person. So some people are so extroverted, they're just like, oh my gosh, I have this new stuff, you guys have to try it. And it's not like salesy or anything like that, because they're just like, oh my gosh, I just found this new favorite scent, like I have it, like you have to try this, I love it. And it comes across more, because they're excited and they're very, they pull out a hand cream from their bag and they're like squirting it on everybody, and they're everyone's best friend, like everyone they meet is their best friend, right? So you have people like that, and it comes naturally to them to just bring it up in natural conversation, in normal conversation, where you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know, I can't even think, like the Megan Summers example all the time is, she'll talk to people in the grocery line about stuff, and she'll always be like, oh my gosh, bow tie pasta, you're buying that? The last time I made that, oh my gosh, it was so fun, like we had this party, and she like goes and dives into her thing, and like, but that's like that kind of her personality, and I don't think that majority of us can't do that. A majority of us have like this, we have this like problem, or where we don't want to tell anybody about it because we feel like we're pushing it on people, and so I definitely think that if you can just share it, maybe just keep a hand cream on hand, take it out, use it, and then you can even just ask, hey, like, does anybody else want some? Like, that works in any setting, right? So whether you are in line at the grocery store, which I'm more introverted to the point where that's a little bit scarier for me, but like if you're, okay, I don't know about you guys, but I always have sanitizer on hand, and when I go to a restaurant and I have sanitizer and I take it out for my family, I'm always like, well, who wants one? Do you guys want some? And then I like sanitize the whole table, So it's kind of like that. If you have a hand cream on hand or have a lip scrub or something that you can easily share, then when you take it out to use it yourself, maybe think about, hey, does anybody else want some? And then if they love it, or if they ask what it is, that's an easy way to jump into that conversation. If you're doing an event, because I know a lot of people are doing events and they're doing kind of, doing Posh parties and that kind of stuff. And the way that I like to do this is that, for the most part, a lot of people don't know what Posh is. So if you kind of go and ask them a yes or no answer, or yes or no question, where there's like, do you know what Posh is? Or have you heard of Perfectly Posh? For the most part, you've just given them a way to, like, that's a closed-ended question. They could say no and walk off, right? Or yeah, sure, and then walk off, but if you give them open-ended questions so that they can answer in a certain way, so that they can't just say yes or no, they actually have to think about the question and think about the answer. That's one way to kind of grab people's interest and kind of get people to kind of stop for a minute and look at what you're talking about. And in this aspect, you can obviously use that when you are out and about, and not necessarily in a party or an event setting, right? And then, so then whenever I do it, I'm always just like, So you can come across it as, and this is kind of the way that like selling strategy. So this is where experience really just comes in handy, and then it kind of helps you build what your technique is and what works for you and what works in your area. But asking people open-ended questions is really going to help you because, like I said, they can't say no and walk off or say no and not talk about it. It kind of gives them a kind of a reason to think about their answer. But then if you're talking to people and they're kind of like, what is this stuff, or like what, like what do you like and stuff like that, then that's a really great way to kind of delve in and not overwhelm them. So don't be like, oh my gosh, I love everything, because that's not helpful. Like for somebody who doesn't know what Perfectly Posh is, they're just like, well, that's cool, but how does that help me, right? So some other ways that you can get into it is you can ask them, what kind of scents do you like? Or you can say, are you more floral or are you citrus? And that kind of helps them kind of think about it. And then they're kind of like, well, sometimes they're like, well, what do you have? Other times, if they have no idea, you're like, well, let me just, like, if you're talking to somebody about a product and they're just like, I don't really know, you're like, well, really the way that you kind of want to do it is you want to keep on talking, and you want to keep, like, try for no awkward pauses. Try to keep talking and try to get them to smell or try a product. So even if it's your friend, you're like, hey, guess what? Like, I got this new hand cream. Like, do you want to try it? Or like at the very least smell it, And if they say no, that's okay. Just move on. Don't be like, oh, like it's hard. Sometimes you're caught off guard when people are like, no, I hate that stuff. Like, I don't like scents. I don't like lotion, etc. Then you're like, oh, well, it's okay. It's not for everybody, but if you're interested, then I do have soaps or something, lead them to a different product. And the way that, so I don't know if you guys have heard about, I don't know if you guys are familiar with upselling and cross-selling. I know Posh has talked about this before, but for the most part, this is a sales technique to increase your sales. Upselling is when you say somebody wants, like, okay, so upselling is selling more in increasing the total order, right? Cross-selling is when you're taking something like, oh my gosh, you love the gender bender, you've got to check out our other charcoal products. And then you're selling things across the different lines. And upselling could be like, oh, well, you like that hand cream and you get more hand creams, right? So they're kind of interchangeable, especially with Posh, because there's a lot of ways you can kind of divvy things up and categorize things. But for the most part, if you guys look through some of your favorite customers or some of your new people, potential customers, you could always be like, hey, I know you love peppermint. Like, I'd love to send you the sample. Like, would you be interested in trying it? Or can I send you the sample? Or am I cutting out for anybody else? I don't know what the dealio is.
Yes, you keep cutting out for me as well.
Really? Sad world. Huh, that's really weird, Carissa. Okay, so maybe I don't know. Hopefully the recording comes out right, because I'm not seeing it. That's odd. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't see my internet being weird, but it is weird all the time. So we'll just kind of keep going. But I do want this to be an open-ended discussion, because everyone has their own experiences in it. But for the most part, I really just wanted to talk about how you can come across and talk to people about product. I know a lot of people, especially when you get started, it's easy to talk about new stuff and to tell people, well, not always easy, but to like have a launch party and have your first sales, and then you're done. And then what? How do you get people to reorder? How do you get people to host a party? And this is kind of the way that I hope this will help those people where you kind of feel like you're stuck. And for the most part, you're going to have to reach out to your cold market, but you're also going to reach out to your previous customers and previous friends and family, or new friends and family if you haven't talked to them yet, and basically let them know that you have new samples, or ask them how things are going and follow up. You can say, especially with the new catalog, this is a really great excuse to talk to somebody and be like, hey, you ordered the In the Clear face mask. or you've ordered Cackle Spackle in the past. Hopefully you're really loving it. I don't know if you saw, but we have a brand new catalog, and there is this face mask that I think you would love. You can ask them if they want to send, can I send you a sample, or can I bring it by to show you? Obviously these are yes or no questions. So if you could think of a way to do it open-ended, then that would be awesome too. Like you can be like, can I drop it off like Tuesday or Wednesday? Can I come by Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever, So that's one way of doing it, and giving them specific dates so that they can't necessarily say no. But for the most part, if you're offering to give people something, and you're coming from a place of, I think you guys are going to love this. Like if you love Moisturize 911, you are going to love the Give Me Life face mask because it's tightening and brightening, and so hopefully that will kind of help a lot of people who are having a hard time kind of getting other people interested. But for the most part, you're really just going to have to go into your cold market and kind of get outside your comfort zone and talk to people. And so this is where the events, talking at events really comes in handy, because I feel as though when you're at an event, they're going to expect people to talk to them about their product. I kind of feel ignored if I go into somebody's booth and they don't talk to me, because I'm like, dude, like I want to know. I shouldn't be the one to ask you about your product, right? So if you are the vendor at an event, then you're the one that's going to ask and try to get to know the person and kind of see what they need, and how you can help them. But so that's pretty much like the selling strategy, is you're not going to come across it as you don't want to come at it like, I have like a billion of these hand creams, I need to sell them. No, that's not how it works. Do you have dry skin? How is your skin? Like, do you like this scent? That kind of thing, right? And obviously tell people about the buy 5 get the 6, but for a lot of time in my experience, that's not a lot of time. In my experience, for the most part, people are kind of wary to buy that many products without having tried any of the products, or without even knowing anything about the products. So for the most part, if you can talk to people about the Posh to Meet You set, and kind of use that as a base and kind of build on top of that, so then you can upsell other products. So if they like the Posh to Meet You set, but they really like the lip scrub, let them know they can grab a lip scrub with it. Maybe they want a face mask because they don't have a face mask in the Posh to Meet You set, right? So I feel like if you kind of do that and you kind of build on that, then that's going to help you kind of gain sales and kind of it'll be easier for you to talk to people about it. But I kind of blabbed on a little bit. Hopefully it wasn't like super boring. But do you guys have any questions on this specifically, or anything to add? Okay, so something that I always say whenever I talk to people, and something to keep in mind, is that you don't need to tell them everything. You don't need to show every single product. You don't need to tell them everything about Posh. You really just want to keep with the basics, because if they don't know anything about Posh, they're not going to want to hear the spiel. They don't need to hear everything that Posh doesn't use in their ingredients, right? So what I always say, and then whenever I tell people this, they're like, oh my gosh, that's so short and like simple. I'm like, but it's like really all you need to say is I'm always like, so Perfectly Posh is a line of we use natural based. We are a natural. Well, what do I say? It's been a while, huh? Perfectly Posh is a pampering line. We use natural based ingredients. We don't use any of the bad ingredients or more commonly used products. Everything's made in the US. Everything's under 25. Like, it depends where it is, but for the most part, we are a natural based pampering line with none of the bad ingredients or more commonly used brands. And then in that case, when you're telling people about the products, you don't need to tell them about every product. And it's not like you're withholding information, but you are just telling them about the things, the basics, right? And if they decide they are interested, give them the opportunity to ask more questions. Like if they're like, oh, well, you have face stuff too? Like, yeah, we have face stuff. And then delve further into that. Or if people are like, oh, my feet are always super dry, well, then obviously you know where to go with that. But for the most part, I always try to focus on the very basic stuff that everybody, for the most part, most people like. The soaps, the hand creams, the lip stuff is fun, the healer stick. But yeah, keep it simple, because I keep seeing this, and don't want to be like mean about it, but at the same time, I'm like, you guys, keep it simple. That's like my motto for everything. Like whenever people are like, well, I don't have every product. That's okay. You don't need every product. In fact, I actually think that if you're new, that might be, and you're not working very consistently, then it's maybe a bad idea to have every product. In my experience, obviously, it depends on you. If you're like a super seller and you can sell anything, then sure. But if there's something that you are never going to use, that you will never ever talk about, there's no point in having it as a tester unless you really feel like a lot of people ask about it. So maybe you're weird and you don't like the healer stick or whatever. Like, well, people are going to ask you about that. So maybe have that on hand. But for the most part, you don't need to stock everything. You don't need to have everything out on your table at a vendor event. You don't need to have everything out at a party. When you're doing an online party, you don't need to talk about every product. That is too overwhelming. So try to rein it in a little bit and focus on helping people. Anyway, yeah, that's all. Hopefully that helped. I don't know. I'm not like super seller, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, Ginger. Yeah, yeah, maybe you're weird. I don't know. Some people, I was just thinking that there are some things that I maybe am not a fan of, but maybe like I have it because other people like it. Like that's just the thing. Like if maybe you hate the smell of a snarky scent, maybe you hate that. But you know there are a lot of people that like it. So it might be worth it to have at least one product on hand that has that scent. Oh, see, and then Charlotte likes Hot Mess. And Charlotte, I think you're kind of in the minority, at least of the people that I talk to. But I know people who love the Hot Mess too. Like they love Hot Mess. And I have it because I know people like it. But I mean, sometimes that's just how it goes. But yeah, you really have to kind of test the waters, and less is more. All right. Well, if you guys don't have any questions or anything to add on sales tips, tricks, any questions or anything like that, I'm going to end the recording and we can kind of go off topic. But if you guys have specific questions, you guys are welcome to unmute yourselves or ask in the chat. Yeah, see, I can see lots of guys liking Hot Mess too because it's a very musky scent. I don't know if I've ever found anyone that doesn't like the healer. That was a very extreme case. All right, cool. I'm going to end this. Thank you guys for joining. Anybody that's watching this recording later, if you guys have any questions on this, be sure to go to your sponsor, post on your team page, etc., etc. We are here to help. There's a lot of training topics and a lot of resources for you guys. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later.